morning, everyone.
Morning.
We would like to remind everyone to make sure that our cell phones are turned to the off or vibrate position. Also, please be advised our city council meetings are broadcast on Comcast Channel 99, AT&T UVerse, and the City of Gadsden YouTube. The meeting of the Gadsden City Council will now come to order. The chair calls on Alva Nelson, City Clerk, for the roll call.
Councilwoman Toles.
Here.
Councilman Williams. Here. Worthy.
Here.
Back.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Councilman Cannon is absent today. Councilman Reed.
Here.
We have a quorum present and our meeting is open for business. I'm going to ask President Toles to lead the invocation. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Most Heavenly Father, as we compose our hearts and minds, we come this afternoon, to give you thanks and to give you praise for another day that you've given us an opportunity to come and to take care of business for the city of Gadsden. We pray for all our officials. We pray for the mayor. We pray for the city council, and we pray that all that we do and say be done decent and in order. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session and council meeting that was held February the 18th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to approve minutes.
The chair will entertain a motion to ratify payments of accounts for the week of February the 14th through the 20th.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to ratify payment of the accounts.
Proclamation. We have unfinished business. We have an ordinance authorizing conveyance of property located at 1523 4th Avenue. Ophelia Morello has offered $2,000 for the property. And this ordinance was presented last week for first reading, and the chair will entertain a motion to adopt this ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the ordinance, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
No action will be taken or necessary regarding a resolution ordering the abatement of nuisance on property at 1126 South 11th Street in District 5. The nuisance has been abated by the owner. Our next resolution awarding bid number 3427 for Twin Bridges Golf Course Sprigging Project. The city engineer has recommended awarding the bid to Surfline Turf and Company, and the amount is $64,470. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution is awarding a bid number 3428 for 2020 Herbicide Application Project, and the city engineer has recommended awarding the bid to Edco LLC, and the amount is $80,090. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution is authorizing agreement with a Walkthrough Time and Company and Forest Cemetery Foundation and Company, and this is to restore and renovate a building located at the Forest Cemetery for use as 3 bathrooms, with both organizations paying $10,000 each to the city in support of the project. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution is authorizing an agreement with Avenue Insight and Analytic LLC And this is an agreement for the collection and administration of sales and use, rental, and lodging taxes, and for business license discovery and recovery services for a term of 3 years. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next resolution is authorizing agreement with Heavenly Blessing, LLC, Chris Roach and Melanie Roach Kilgore. This is regarding the payment of $8,433.10 in past due sales tax, as well as future sales and occupational taxes to the city of Gadsden. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next item is a resolution ordering agreement with MDK Enterprise LLC, Melanie Kilgore, and Chris Roach. This is regarding the payment of $44,558.61 in past due sales tax, as well as future sales and occupational tax to the city of Gadsden. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Second. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next item is a resolution authorizing first amendment to agreement with the Etowah County Commission and Etowah County Sheriff. This amends the contract authorized by resolution number R-83-19 regarding incarceration of city prisoners in the Etowah County Detention Center by extending the termination date from February the 29th, 2020 to September the 30th, 2020. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next agreement is a resolution authorizing agreement with Desiree Fitz, PNT Entertainment for the 2020 Summer Concert Series. And this is for Mother May I Band to perform at the amphitheater on August the 7th, 2020, and the amount is $1,700. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Our next ordinance is a first reading, and this is to authorize conveyance of property located at the 700 block of Agricola Drive. Frankie Patton has offered to pay $150 for the property, and this ordinance has been presented for today for first reading, and the council will vote on it next week. Our next ordinance, and I will refer to the city clerk. This is an ordinance of flood damage prevention ordinance to bring the city into compliance with the federal law and regulation concerning flood control. Even though we presented it last week, we're going to, how can we handle this by voting on it today?
Since this is the first reading, official first reading, we would need unanimous consent if you want to adopt it today, or you could simply let it carry over until next week.
Well, we'll just let it carry over to next week. Is there any new business?
Yes, Madam President, I have one. There's a request from the Transportation Department. I'm asking for unanimous consent. It's a resolution authorizing an annulment of contract with Gadsden State Community College regarding a grant from the Federal Transit Administration.
Second.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today as an item of new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Move for adoption, please.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Discussion.
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Discussion on it.
Discussion?
Well, Minrad, he gave us the information this morning on it. It's a contract from the federal government that gave money to buy buses and vans and a bus, I believe, and this was from 2006. So Minrad and from the transportation department, they just decided that they wouldn't want to stay in agreement with the money funds from the federal government.
So it releases those assets.
So it releases to them,
Yeah,
because it was just, we were just a go-through.
So it
So
releases
we don't, our administration don't have to keep up with it anymore.
So it
And this is
releases
from
those.
Gadsden, this is from Gadsden State. They were vans that were purchased to use at Gadsden State and their students. And so what we're doing is, we were administering a program that we didn't have to. And so what we're doing is basically getting out of it. They'll keep the vans.
So it releases those assets from the grant.
Exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah, we just did a pass-through.
Yeah, it's just a pass-through.
We were just a pass-through entity. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's right.
Any other new business?
Yes, Madam President, I have two. First one, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to consider is a resolution authorizing agreement with Digital Support Systems, Inc., in the amount of $9,805.50 for keyless access control at the, it's the Gadsden Municipal Court at the Old Weaver property. And that's consent, ask for.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Now move to adopt.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Councilman Reed, would
carries
you
to
want
adopt.
to just extend as to what that is?
Yes, in essence, it's the same software as Forrest, bringing it up to the court, and as I understand, it's where the prisoners are, that jail, it's the lock. Same software.
Is the lock 5G?
Oh, that you. You're gonna
They're
need
just
further
putting,
counseling
they're just
on
putting
that.
they're just putting both of the buildings or both of the places in sync
Same
together
thing.
using the same, lock system.
Go with the court then. So that's.
Is there any more new business?
I have one more. I was trying to figure out how 5G would apply to airport sprinklers.
That's Councilman Wilson's little,
Yes, absolutely. Okay, the next is a resolution awarding 3430 for Airport Depot Sprinkler Head Replacement Project to Chase Building Group, Inc. That's for unanimous consent to consider.
Second.
clerk, will you take the vote?
those in favor to consider the resolution today under new business, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent has been granted.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Clerk, will you take the vote?
Those in favor to adopt the resolution, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries to adopt.
Do we need a discussion on that?
No, but I do have a question.
Yes.
If we can go back to 13 and 14, I might have missed it upstairs, but the Heavenly Blessings and the MDK Enterprise, they doing business as what?
Two different entities. One of them has both the individuals on there, and one of them only has one. But
What
I'm not
business
sure
is
what-
it though?
I'm not sure.
One is Lola's and Runs,
Okay.
the other
Oh, yeah.
is, the name of the restaurant out there.
Barney's.
Okay. I just wanted to write that down.
Same people.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
understand how.
Same people.
Yeah, this is the Lola's and Runts, Lola's on the River, Barney's, that whole
Okay.
That whole
I just,
group.
I just missed it, so I wanted to write it down. So.
Thomas, I don't see how you could even ask a question about heavenly bliss. Think about that.
They should be paying their taxes
Maybe they thought they were.
in heaven. Department, any other doing business? Department reports, committees, boards. We have one citizen request, Alice Thomas. If you'll give us your name and your address, please.
My name is Alice Dice Thomas. I live at 1312 4th Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama, 35901. They said my childhood, but I want to tell you something. This is a history lesson this morning. The bombing of Pearl Harbor. I was a little black girl of 10 years old when it happened. It happened Saturday morning around 7 a.m. The news didn't get to Gadsden until around 8 o'clock Sunday night on December the 8th. We were leaving Union Baptist Church right here on 6th Street, just beyond Johnson's grocery store. And the extra newspaper had been printed. And the men were on the street hollering, extra, extra, read all about it. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. And I want you to know that there was one hero at Pearl Harbor. His name was Doris Miller. 78 years ago, this happened. I'm 88 years old. But me and my little brother were coming out of the church. My father always had two newspapers that he bought for his family, the Chicago Defender and the Pittsburgh Courier. Dora Miller was on a ship. His captain was shot, disabled. This was a time when black men were not even welcome in the Navy. The only thing that they could do at that time was cook, mop, feed the white men. But when trouble came, Dora Miller acted. He was ordered out of the basement of the ship, up on the deck. He made his way to the deck. Had never shot a gun in his life because they had no training. The only thing you could do was cook, mop the floor, and feed the white boys. So his commander ordered him up on the deck. He took over that big gun that he had never been trained to use and shot down 6 Japanese MiGs. This is a black man who saved this nation, but he has not been given any credit for his bravery. And it has bothered me for many and many a year. I came to this council in 2017 and asked to speak on Pearl Harbor. But they was told that if something didn't happen in Gadsden, I couldn't talk about it. So we are still, right now, in some of those bad places of segregation, mistreatment, where black men are concerned. And I'm an old black mother, standing here looking at all your white faces. And I'm angered by the way my black boys have been treated. And I think it's about time that we all learn that. My grandmother told me, said, Alex, you are no better than anybody, but you are as good as anybody. And I grew up with that mentality. And we feared, there were a lot of people amongst my people who feared a person because his face was white. But I have never had that fear. My fear has always been if we cross each other, I would have to worry about what I was going to have to do to you. But my fear has never been of another person.
Yeah.
Because I go around feeling like I'm as good as anybody. But Dora Miller was treated bad because he was a black man. He was never given the kind of praise and honor that was due him. On the day that they, Dr. King's birthday, they named the ship. And how are you? For Dora Miller. But 78 years of silence is what I have witnessed. And I come here today to tell you that there are no mansions in hell. There are no clothing stores. There's only one door, and it's in and no way out. And it's time that we look at each other as human beings and praise the God that gave each and every one of us life. This black face of mine, I had nothing to do with it. And that white face that you have, you didn't choose it. It was given.
We thank you for
And
the history lesson.
I want you all to understand that we have a Bible verse that we reap what we sow. It didn't say thee. It said we. And we all got to die one day. And when we lay down and die, we want to know that we can rest when we leave this earth.
Thank you. Remarks from the mayor and council. We'll start with you, Councilman Reed.
Yeah, I was 5 years old when they dropped the bombs on Pearl Harbor. And if it hadn't been for Franklin Roosevelt, we'd still be in the hole. Because he got on the radio on his fireside chats, and he would talk every week and bring people on. And it turned out to be a blessing on the other side. But I noticed in my Korean magazine this week that I've got his name now, Ms. Thomas. I think it's Miller. He was the first black man to receive the Medal of Honor. And there was a ship named after him this year in Hawaii. Okay?
Aircraft
So,
carrier.
yeah. So that's pretty good honor, and not total restitution, but a pretty good honor. Anyway, that's my little history.
Councilman Wilson.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Y'all notice we approve bids for different services throughout the course of the year. And a lot of those bids, I've noticed, aren't necessarily going to City of Gadsden businesses. And so I've always looked into that. And of course, like I've found since I've been on this city council, most of the time there's a logical answer for something that looks illogical from the outside looking in. And the fact is that we don't see a lot of local businesses responding to these bids. And some of them don't have the certifications or the qualifications necessary. For example, today we awarded a bid to a company for the application of herbicide treatments. Well, it's on the city, on the right of way of the road system. And so they actually have to be certified at a certain level with dealing with those chemicals. And it turns out there's nobody in Gadsden that has that certification. Or they didn't submit for the bid if they do have that certification. So I just want to encourage all local businesses. It's your responsibility, and there's a tremendous opportunity to keep up to speed with the bids that are being publicly made by the city of Gadsden, and take your time and do your research and submit applications to those bids. Because what a lot of people don't know, including me, I learned this. The city can actually give preferential treatment to a local business up to, I think, 3%. So a local business can be 3% higher than the lowest bid, and we still have the ability to give that bid to the local business. So you have an opportunity to gain business contracts with the city, and you don't even have to meet the lowest responsible bid requirement. We can bend on that for that local preference. So just a word of encouragement to all the local businesses. I would love to see more local businesses applying for these city contracts that we're awarding. Second thing is I want to say a big thank you to Ms. McLean and Mr. and Ms. Lavely for abating the nuisance on the property in District 5. That's 3 houses in a row in District 5 that have been brought up for nuisance abatement where the owners actually got out there and fixed the problem, and we didn't have to do anything about it. So thank you to citizens of District 5 for taking responsibility for your personal property and bringing it up to code. That to me is probably the best indicator that we're getting through and making a difference. The other thing I'll say, you guys noticed we were talking earlier about the tax agreements. Those are, again, agreements that we've made with individuals to pay back unpaid sales taxes that have accumulated over a length of time, sometimes years. These sales taxes have accumulated. So we've gotten these individuals to the table, and kudos to Lisa Rosser and the mayor's office for getting tough on these people and not letting it just go and letting it go. This year we actually took the bold step with this council of not approving or reissuing business licenses to companies that had back sales taxes, and we've seen that be very effective. This is probably a half a dozen or so of these agreements that we've seen brought before the council, and it's my understanding that every single one of these agreements is being honored at the moment. So thank you for those individuals for stepping up and meeting your responsibility, and thank you to the mayor and Lisa Rosser for putting that program together and getting tough on them. Another just point of definition, we used a term up here a while ago when Councilman Worthy was explaining the Gadsden State deal about a pass-through entity. Just to be clear, a lot of times there are federal government dollars that can't go directly to an entity or a business or a school. And so in that scenario, the city will act as the recipient of that federal grant money, and then we turn around and we can legally give it to the school or whatever that nonprofit entity may be. So that's all this was an agreement we had with Gadsden State. Since they couldn't apply for the money directly from the federal government, we applied for the money on their behalf, got the money, and gave it to them. Well, now it's time to get rid of these vehicles or to just remove ourselves from the situation. So that's what it was. We just backed out. We're no longer the ones responsible for getting the money and giving it to Gadsden State. And again, the last thing I was going to say is what Councilman Reed mentioned was I did see it's coincidental that you are here because I was reading a lengthy article about 3 weeks ago about Mr. Miller and the honor that was bestowed upon him recently with the naming of the next U.S. aircraft carrier. So we've come a long way, and I know we've still got a long way to go, but thank you very much for that story. That's all I have.
Councilman Back.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Thomas, thank you for coming today and being willing to share your experience. That was very heartfelt, and I echo the comments that are made up here. We appreciate you and appreciate you coming, and we have come a long way. Still have a long way to go, but we're headed in the right direction, and having history like that to remind us is very helpful. And so thank you. Also want to echo thanks to the mayor and to Lisa Rosser for their hard work in their offices on the tax situation. It's very important that work is done. It's not easy work. It's pretty pressing, and so thank you to those that are given time to do that. In District 4 in my area, one of my areas is Clubview. I've had a lot of reports lately about dogs not on a leash. These are probably great family pets, but when other people are walking their dog on a leash and your dog runs toward that dog and that person, sometimes it's a little scary. You know, there's that movie, that old comedy movie, you know, does your dog bite? The dog bites the guy, and the guy said, well, that's not my dog. You know, so, I mean, dogs do bite, and so we have to be careful. It's just all about respect. We don't have enough animal control officers. Ma'am?
Keep talking.
Okay, we don't have enough animal control officers or patrolmen to catch every situation like that. These laws are in place kind of as a common sense thing. If you have a dog, either keep your dog in a fence, keep your dog in the house, or if you're gonna walk with the dog, put him on a leash and be responsible to your fellow citizens. It's not really that hard to figure that out. So please do that. Please be respectful of your neighbors. Other thing I want to mention, we approved the sprigging of the greens at Twin Bridges. You know, that's a golf course that the city of Gadsden owns. That means our name is on that. And in recent years, the greens have not been very good, and we've seen the level of play drop. And so the theory is if we have nice greens, we'll see the level of play increase, and I think that'll happen. So spread the word. The greens are going to be back to where they were originally. They're going to be very nice with the new kind of grass that is more adaptive to this part of the country, and we think that's going to help, and that's going to help the golf course and help the rounds of play should increase. And that's just another investment that the city's making. You know, if we're going to have something like that, we can't be mediocre. If we're going to put our name on something, it needs to be excellent. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to bring that back up to excellent, and it's going to be a nice golf course, and we'll see more play on the golf course. I was out of town last week on personal business with my company. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia. So I hated missing all of you, but I was here in spirit. I appreciate what everybody did last week, and glad to be back on the council this week. Thank you.
Councilman Worthy.
Yes, Madam President. I'd just like to say thank you to Ms. Thomas for coming and giving us a history lesson this morning. And along those lines, I was blessed to be stationed in Hawaii at Schofield Barracks on the island of Oahu, and I was able to go to the monument of the U.S. Arizona. And that was in '86, and the oil was still bubbling up from the USS Arizona. So I don't know if it's still doing that to this day, but it was then. But I just want to say thank you, and God bless you. You know, you've seen a whole lot through the years. So we really appreciate you. And I need to get over there and talk to you some more, because I always learn something when I go sit down on the porch and talk with her. But I just want to say thank you, and God bless. And I'm going to talk about the RAMP program, the remote area medical, which we will do here on the March the 28th and 29th at Gadsden City. So that's free dental, free health care, and free eyeglasses. They'll stream you, and they will make your pair of glasses on the spot, and you will leave with them that day. So we'll give more information on it.
Councilman Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of quick points. I would like to kind of touch on the small cell communication information that was shared. Obviously, I wasn't there to receive that presentation, but you know, let's just be clear about what's behind small cell, this small cell communication and the whole effort to get 5G access in our communities and even in the rural communities. There is a very concerted effort to reshape the discussion about municipal public rights of way. And so let's not forget that as elected officials as we're reviewing these items. There are two objectives that exist there that we need to be careful to not allow to happen, and that's the elimination of local agreements. Those local agreements give us the authority to dictate the rules for how they gain access to our right-of-ways. And and one of the things that we typically get to do is dictate, the level of high-speed access that our local community centers get, and things along those lines, and the access that our educational facilities get. So there are a lot of stipulations that we currently have the ability to impose on companies as they're building these small cell networks. The other thing that they're trying to eliminate, of course, is they're trying to, in a general sense, just override our local authority and just take away the ability for us to locally dictate the rules as relates to our rights of way. So again, you know, we appreciate the information that's being shared. We appreciate, you know, all the communication efforts, but at the end of the day, let's not forget that there's legislation making its way through the corridors in Montgomery that could be very harmful to us. So let's please be mindful of that. And the other thing I'd like to bring up, of course, I'd you know, like to extend a thanks to Ms. Thomas for what she shared. And our city attorney, Lee, I'd like for you to look at any latitude that we have to impose a rule, a law, or an ordinance related to medical information privacy. Now, we all know about HIPAA, and that's a federal law that dictates how medical information should be shared, but I want to share something with y'all. Here recently, I was taking a relative to the hospital, and I sat there as I was in the waiting room with that relative, and I watched a female walk up to the counter and be asked pretty much in open space whether or not she had ever had a tubal ligation or a hysterectomy. Right there where I could hear, right there where I could, you know, anybody in that room could hear. Now, this office had the capacity to walk her around the corner to a private area and actually ask her those questions, but for whatever reason, they chose not to. I don't know that HIPAA directly addresses that, but that's not the first time I've seen that. And I'm really concerned about that with women, because with males, we don't, you know, a lot of that stuff just kind of, it's like water down a duck's back with us. I mean, it's not as concerning, but women have some unique health issues that they have to manage. And nobody wants to be embarrassed having to answer out in open space private medical questions. And so what I would like to do, if it's possible, and this is again what I'm asking the legal department to do, is I'd like the legal department to take a look at, Mayor, of course, with your blessing, I'd like the legal department to take a look at whether or not it's meaningful or even legal for us to impose a local ordinance that would make that in particular illegal. So just something to look at, and I'll keep pestering you with it, Lee, until we get a response, you know, one way or the other. But I think I think most people will agree. That's just, you know, I get the privacy law and how we manage how and dictate how medical information needs to be handled. But I think that's a loophole. That's something that got missed. And I honestly don't think that lady on the other side of the counter intentionally did anything wrong. I just think it's become kind of commonplace to ask people very personal medical questions over the counter. And I just don't think that's right. So again, I'd like to look at whether or not we can take action. Thank you.
Mayor.
I just want to remind everybody that we still have probably around 1,800 jobs open at all these auto suppliers. Air conditioned, most of them. Safe, not dangerous like the old steel plant in Goodyear. Good pay, benefits. All you got to do is show up every day and work, and you'll get a check. And it surely would be good if we could get more of the younger generation to go and get a job. I used to tell my daddy, I'd say, "Daddy, I need a little money." And I had a job, and his quote was, "Get another job." So, you know, it's okay to work two jobs too.
I believe Councilman Reed, did we not pass is it tethering law? And here we have on the other side of me, Councilman Back is getting phone calls about dogs not on a leash.
Well, he's talking, there's two laws, his tethering and his leash law.
But we knew that this was
Yeah.
we knew that this was coming.
Gonna cross over.
Councilwoman Toles, may I ask just a very quick question, if I may? This is just
Go ahead, right
very
ahead.
quick. Raise your hand in the last 12 months, if you've gotten multiple calls about dogs not being on a leash as a council representative, raise your hand. Dogs not being on a leash. I get those, all right? Raise your hand if you've gotten one call about tethering. None. And so my point.
In fact, I got 5 in almost one day.
My point has always been tethering is important for sure, because it's an emotional flashpoint. I mean, it's an emotional flashpoint. But the problem that we have is dogs not being on a leash or contained. That's the problem. And when we get phone calls, it's not about tethering. It's about dogs not being on a leash. So tethering is an emotional flashpoint.
I don't understand Senate Bill 196 completely. I read it 4 times. But I think if that passes, we won't have to worry about any of it because the state's gonna take it over. And the municipal and the county will be out of it. So we may have dogs running all over the place, who knows?
Yeah.
So we better look at that Senate bill.
Yeah, preemption is what they're after. It's the order of the
Exactly.
order
That
of the day.
communications.
Yes.
We keep putting them in there.
That's exactly right. It's so important, and I know it's not we need to encourage, first of all, we need to encourage people to do the census. The census is very important to all of us because it means federal dollars that come to our community. And when you're not counted, then they say that it doesn't exist. And then we also will probably might lose 2 congressional seats. So I encourage you to tell everybody to fill out their census online. If not, there'll be people who will knock on their door if they hadn't. So that's very, very important. And the other thing is, we talk about register to vote. That's good, but after you register, you need to go to the polls and vote. That's right. That's the most important thing. And then you need to, when you go to the polls and vote, you can pull up the record. You can pull up the record of how we voted up here on different ordinances. You need to pull up the record of the people that we send to Montgomery, because you have some down there, even in our own delegation, that are trying to take away the rights for cities to operate. So you need to just look at who you send to Montgomery, what they stand for, and vote your conscience. Can't tell you how to vote. I wish I could tell you how to vote on amendment number 1, but I'm going to vote no. I'd like to let you know that there was a nice program this weekend at the Carver Revitalization. They had 100 black men from Birmingham that did the music. Very, very good group. Councilman Hart from Montgomery did a very good job at speaking. Birmingham. And so it was a good program and it was a good treat. If nothing else,
Can I make one, I forgot to say thank you along those lines to Carver Revitalization Committee. We also, that Saturday before the Black History Program, we had a cleanup day on Tuscaloosa Avenue. And we walked down Tuscaloosa and picked up trash. So I want to say thank you.
And
I got out there late, but I did make it.
And to Councilman Worthy, as I was coming from the Carver Revitalization Program, right by Emmy's Barbecue,
Oh, yeah, we didn't make it over there, but I seen that.
there was trash lined up all the way
Yes, ma'am, it
on the
is.
side.
We're gonna get on that next.
All right, so-
We'll get on that next.
I was just saying that to you because you say every time I say, citizens, clean up your area, then the citizens go out and throw trash out. But anyway, let's keep our city beautiful. It's what you make out of it is what it'll be.
Madam President, one last thing, is speaking of trash and trash cleanup, we could all learn something from the city of New Orleans, I think. Happy Mardi Gras, everybody. It's Fat Tuesday. Get it out of your system tonight. Ash Wednesday's tomorrow. You got to get it in line for Lent. Thank you.
Call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.